My name's Chris, last name's Dave. So I'm Chris Day. Many people in football, which I did for many, many years, knew me as Daisy, as a lot of people do. And since I left school until recently, a goalkeeper in football. And at the end of my career, many, many years, 27 years on, I got involved in coaching as well. So I've spent most of my adult life involved in the football environment.
Hello, Chris, and thank you for accepting my invitation for this interview. I have some photo over here. Talk to me, please, about this photo. Do you remember it?
Yes, I do. It's become a semi-famous photo because of one of the guys down the bottom. Yeah, that's me there.
This one. Okay. Good.
I wasn't as tall as I am now compared to everyone else. As you scroll along to the side, there's a certain lad in the middle who, yes, the one. Most of the guys that played with him back then would probably call him Sir David anyway, but he's quite a famous person that, talking about the Olympics, was involved in the 2012 Olympic Games. Yeah, he married someone from Spice Girls and the rest was history as such.
What is his name?
His name's David Beckham.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, David Beckham was quite famous. I saw him about a year ago and he still is exactly the same person. If you go back 2 players to the one next to me, yeah, Micah. His name's Micah Hyde, and he played with me in the Premier League at Watford. He played in national football as well. A lot of the players out of that little group of boys, and we were 10 years old at the time, went on to have careers in football. You'll never guess what team Harry Kane grew up. So Ridgeway Rovers, a team in Chingford in North London, created 2 England captains, which is very, 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 very unusual. You know, pictures like that and seeing the coach of the team, it really brings back memories that make me smile.
When exactly did you decide to be a goalkeeper?
When I was at school, there was many sports and things to enjoy. I used to play basketball and cricket, and I almost played for England at basketball when I was younger. I think everyone that plays as a goalkeeper, most of them have played as an outfield player. I think they realised that they grew a little bit taller, not bigger, but they grew taller than the rest of the boys, and you just end up learning different skills as you grow up. Most boys, most girls, most people, if you enjoy diving around, getting muddy, getting mucky, you kind of realise you've got a skill to see things and understand things. It wasn't my obsession to become a footballer because I was, very important. I got educated at home to, take school very, very seriously. And you just end up sometimes graduating back through the team and you end up becoming a midfielder, a defender. In the end, I ended up playing in goal.
November 17, 92. Do you remember the date? This is a quiz as well.
Oh, I don't know.
It's I think it's when you start under 18.
Okay.
England.
Yeah, I only left school 14 months ago, and I was still living at home. And imagining representing the country or anything like that wouldn't have been a dream of mine, but it would have been something that would have probably almost shocked me, because at the time, I'm still only 17-year-old. You just kind of go with what's going on in the world. You're still, in truth, trying to find your way and trying to understand what it is to be an adult.
How different start being your life since then,
Yeah.
in comparison to other kids, other guys from the neighborhood, from your school?
Yeah, it was slightly different. The only thing was, I had a very close group of friends that I think you know about, and when it come down to it, A lot of the guys went to university, went on to further schooling, which was something that I was very, very, very close to doing myself, because I was quite academic when I was growing up. A lot of the guys are, they're in sixth form, they're doing their A-levels, but I also had a nice blend of friends that I still speak to now that went out into the outside world. And at the time I would have been on a apprenticeship scheme with football at that time. It was run through the government, so everybody in the country would have earned the same money whether I was playing football, whether you was learning to be a plumber, a decorator, whatever profession you was into. I think at the time we'd have earned £29.50 or £35 a week. And I had a very close friend of mine that went out and become, at the time, a postman. And he was out there working, earning what would have been a living wage. So he was out there in the outside world. You're just learning to be an adult, really, because even at that age, I wasn't 18 years old, and I probably wouldn't have even passed my driving test by that moment.
Why was so important, this team?
When I look at that picture, yeah, that's me there. There's 4 players in the team that went on and played for England at top level and become very, very significant players. Paul Scholes, there's Gary Neville, Sol Campbell, and just below him there's Robbie Fowler, Julian Joachim. Just above him is a guy called Kevin Gallen, who is a Queen's Park Rangers legend. There's a guy in the suit at the end that's Mickey Butt, that probably played so many caps for England.
What was your most remarkable moment?
We had a game at home once where it was a playoff match and we had to win to go to the final. Unfortunately, at the time they were rebuilding Wembley, so we had to go to Cardiff for the final. I think in the final there was probably 70,000 fans there. Full stadium at Loftus Road. Scored on 83 minutes, and not by luck, by a lot of practice, obviously. Made a save in the very last seconds, which if I go and watch the club, supporters still come up to me and go, "How did you make that save?" To this day, I don't know. And the other moment, after losing the final, probably 2 years later, we won promotion. And although I was injured at the time, and I'd lost my place in the team, I was still a part of the squad, and we won promotion 2 years later. And to achieve something, to get a club that's a big club from where we were to where we took them, was probably the biggest thing. Guys that are in their 50s and 60s and 70s that watch QPR teams back in the day that reached cup finals, they still say to this day that was the best noise when we beat Oldham in that playoff game I was saying about. That was the best noise they'd ever heard in that stadium in their lifetime, which makes you feel very proud and very special to be a part of that.
That's it, Brad! That's it! Awesome!
He loves. Forward by White. This one for Piggott to chase, and Day coming a long way, but effectively so. Might reach core. Indeed it does. Now it's Worrell, and Day able to react.
Job. Was less favoured right foot, but does give it a swing, especially in these conditions, whizzing into the goalkeeper.
Playing it off, it's Atkinson, and now it's Worrell. And I thought the keeper got a touch. Atkinson, Piggott. Oh, and Worrell hoping to get in again. Evasive action by Day. The result. This is Coker. Falls beautifully for Bolger, and Day was in the right place.
Player down the left. Beautiful ball back from Coker. As Christay's going away, he's gone the opposite way where the shot's going. Stands up big though, he's a big fella. Through the legs of his defence.
Lovely turn by McLaughlin. Now it's Piggott! And Day is there again.
Just disappears. It's a good first touch from Piggott. I think Day's already reading where he's about to put it.
Well, McLaughlin has a golden opportunity now for Southend, and Day is there. Core. It's open up for Barry Core.
What is for you your best save in your career?
Probably the one for QPR in the last minute would be the one that anyone that saw that would tell me. But actually, we played on a cold Tuesday night, 1 September, I think, away at Wrexham, and someone had a shot from about 3 yards out. To this day, I still don't know how I saved it. Unfortunately, there's not. I did have a DVD of it, but as we know, technology's moved on. I don't know where it's gone, but I probably made a save at Wrexham one Tuesday night that was better than that. And every time a QPR fan says that save against Oldham, Chris, I go, no, you weren't at Wrexham that Tuesday night. So I made a save that actually even made me surprised. And it didn't even feel lucky at the time, because sometimes, you know, like a boxer gets hit with a punch or someone hits the ball at you, I actually reacted in a really short period of time to make the save, because, you know, as a goalkeeper, sometimes you just have to be there and block the ball. But probably the best saves you can ever make in my position, the ones where you communicate and get someone else to do it for you.
The best goalkeeper for you?
There was a guy in the 80s called Neville Southall that played for Everton. I'd love to have seen him play at his very, very best in the modern day. And at Manchester United, a goalkeeper called Edwin van der Sar, who just seemed to make everything look so easy. Probably more a David Seaman fan over Peter Schmeichel, just because he was England's goalkeeper and because I'm an England fan.
What about the best save?
David Seaman made a fantastic save when he was almost 40 in the FA Cup semi-final against Sheffield United. That was incredible. There's probably two that spring to mind though to me. I think, and don't quote me on this, I think it was the 1974 Cup final, again before my time. Jim Montgomery made a save for Sunderland in the Cup final, a double save, where he saved a header and then tipped a shot onto the crossbar from nowhere. And then when Liverpool won the Champions League, when they were 3-0 down, with seconds to go, Dudek made a good save from a header.
I'm going to tell you what is my best one, just because I am Colombian.
That night, in a game between Colombia and England, after a cross from Jamie Redknapp, he made a save with an unbelievable scorpion kick.
I remember Rene Higuita, 1990, when he suddenly started dribbling with the ball and doing crazy things. I think the right saying is a little bit El Loco. Even back then, in 1990, I think Colombia were losing. I think it was 2-1 to Cameroon. And he went to try and dribble out, get the team back in, and Roger Miller nicked the ball off him. And that, I think that was 4 years later on. So he's someone that made a big name for himself as a goalkeeper. Probably a bit too crazy for my liking, for what I was like. Consistency was key, because with people like that, you know, it was a little bit of a roller coaster, but his roller coaster was mainly up here. But yeah, that definitely was a save that will be talked about for many, many years to come. And there'll be plenty of videos, and there'll be young goalkeepers growing up that find YouTube now, and they wouldn't believe that ever happened. When I was coaching, if my goalkeeper did that, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't speak to him for a month. The guy's a Colombian legend. He earns the right, and again, it's him as a person.
What is your first things you used to advise?
The most important thing for me is doing your studies. When it comes to being goalkeepers, we wear different coloured kits. We are very much on our own. So it's sharing advice, listening to advice, and being there for each other. That's really the most important thing. But at the same time, you've got to enjoy yourself. you've got to enjoy what you're doing. You've got to enjoy working hard. But we are very, very, very isolated in our position, and sometimes you've got to learn to communicate as well. Because whilst you're there on your own, you can make a difference to other people, and you can make a difference to the 10 players in front of you, or you can make a difference to the goalkeeper that's playing in the team instead of you. It's a very tight-knit community to be a goalkeeper. But I'd say for a very young person, just keep your horizons broadened, because you never know in life what's around the corner. So enjoy it, enjoy football, enjoy sport, enjoy life, but work hard, study hard. That's the main thing.
What are you doing nowadays?
Nowadays, with everything that's happened in the world, when I finished playing, I went into coaching. I coached at Stevenage for a bit as a player and a coach. I went to Northampton, then I worked back at my first club, Tottenham, for a while. The world obviously changed a little bit through COVID, so I inadvertently had to take some time out, and after about 6 months of that and the world being in lockdown, I went out and I changed my job completely and started becoming a delivery driver, delivering online goods for Sainsbury's, which seemed to really, it got me active, physical, out in the world when we was in lockdown, and B, it felt it made a difference. It was most importantly a job, working with people.
Would you like to come back in some way in a particular position to football?
Possibly. We're still very, very young into coming out of lockdown. So from my point of view, the tricky thing was to be out of a contract at a job when football kind of had to isolate like everyone else had to, was difficult. I could perhaps see myself going back into coaching in maybe the community sector, maybe more in a teaching role. I'd certainly never say never towards it. I think the main thing for me as a person, I'm just enjoying seeing people going out, enjoying watching football, sport, concerts, cinema, just enjoying being back out doing the things that we took for granted before. But I've always been interested in the community type of thing, and I do think when I get a little bit older, that will probably be more my sector I'd like to get into. But I enjoy passing on knowledge that maybe got passed on to me. When you're a coach, everyone's younger than you anyway. Even the youngest coaches generally are older than the players. So it's just passing on knowledge, experience. Even at where I work now, it's things I learned from football and life.
When you start with Stevenage, you start running, by the way, all the business different, a pub, isn't it? Am I right? You thought you could manage half-time with the team, half-time with the pub?
Yeah, it's a strange one because 20 years ago now, I had a really serious leg injury when I was at QPR, and I got to 33 years old at the time, and I was out of contract at Millwall. I had to have further surgery to repair arthritis and damage, and I genuinely thought at the time that was it for me with football, because I didn't have a club, my leg was injured again, so an opportunity to go into what I wanted to do later in life come up, so I said yeah. And then lo and behold, where I live here, Stevenage at the time were a non-league club. I went and done a bit of training with them, and the surgery was a success, which was great. And the surgeon said, you may get another 2 or 3 years. I went and played another 10 years. So as we rose from non-league to League 2 to League 1, almost in the Championship, it becomes very difficult to balance both of them. And it's mainly more difficult because the more success the football club, which I'm pointing that way, had, it became difficult because pointing that way towards where the pub was, they kind of crossed over a little bit, and it was a roller coaster time. One thing had to give, and obviously when you're, even at the time I would have been 36, 37, when you're still relatively young, active, fit and can play, you do that. And again, it was a good life experience, and it's maybe something, again, I might go back into in latter years. But again, it was another thing that during COVID didn't give me an opportunity to work because obviously the hospitality sector. So it's one of them things, I think, that when you play sport, you're quite comfortable speaking and generally being around normal people. We're all public.
Okay, but those intense years becoming to you in a sort of celebrity in Stevenage, isn't it?
Exactly. When you grow up in East London, 21, 22 when I moved here, if you'd have told me 20 years on that I'd have done that in my adopted local town, I'd have probably laughed. So yeah, it's one of them moments. It's quite surreal to be doing that, but again, it was something that I enjoyed doing, and again, it was for me. It was just community work because when I was at Stevenage and DPR and Watford, I was very heavily involved in working with the community and leading up that sector, the link between the players, the community sector, the supporters and the people that live there. So that's always something I'm very passionate about, and I'm still passionate about now because, as I said, with football without the supporters, without the people behind the supporters, isn't the same as sport, same as life.
For who is not English, who is from outside of England or Britain, how important is to turn on the lights in Christmas time in a town?
You kind of yourself, you roll with it, and it's something you do, and you buy a new shirt, you buy maybe a new pair of jeans to look nice. But it's mainly the people around you that probably appreciate it more. And again, it's something that you can always look back on and be proud of. And sometimes even you look forward to Christmas, and if I drive past the town, I sometimes think, I can't believe I turned the lights on. It's maybe they couldn't find anyone else on the day. Who, Lewis Hamilton's from Stevenage. I think he was busy driving his car that day, so unfortunately they got me instead.
I find lots of merit, and having played for until you 43 years old, not everybody has lasted so long. Congratulations for it.
Yeah, I suppose when you get a little bit older, you have to keep on top of obviously fitness. It keeps you young because every year there's a new batch of 16, 17-year-olds that come into the club, and then the ones that have come through the system become professionals, and you see lads that were young grow bigger. I've got friends that I probably feel I probably could still play at 46 now. I'm probably in better shape now than when I played it. But yeah, it's a unique position being a goalkeeper because there's not many outfield players. We don't have to do lots of running around, but it's mainly life experience. That's why goalkeepers sometimes get better when they get older, because you've just seen the situation before it doesn't even happen. So a unique position like that, and there's not many sports where you get better when you get older. I wish I'd have had my experience at the end, at the start. I think it would have helped.
I just want to thank you. You have been very kind, very nice having you here and sharing your experience. Really, I appreciate so much. Thank you very much for it and for your time.
No worries. You take care. Enjoy it. Enjoy football. Enjoy sport. Enjoy life. But work hard, study hard.
And don't be afraid of the dark.